Bvtnews, and I'm back to give y'all the latest and greatest news in the sport of boxing. And with that being said, let's talk about Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall, the rematch that is on the way April 27th. They recently, over the past couple of weeks have rolled out, this upcoming rematch that's going to occur over in Leeds, England. They met twice. And I ain't going to lie, man, I saw something I thought I'd never see before in the sport of boxing. And that's another grown man touch another grown man's nipples, man. That was wild. Check this tape right now of what went down when Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall went face-to-face at that first press conference.
Face-to-face, mate. You're done, you're finished.
Now, that was one of the more wilder moments that I've ever seen. I've seen people trash talk. I've seen people talk about each other's family. I ain't never seen a man go for another man's chest at the initiation of a face-to-face altercation.
April 27th, and I can't wait. And you need to have a word with your man here. 3 times he's tried to put his hands on me. He's meant to be a professional athlete. Keep it professional. Keep your hands to yourself, you little rat.
You come for me nipples yesterday. You come for the nipples. Weird.
Yeah, your little chippy tits. Your little chippy tits. That's what it was. You little fatty.
But nonetheless, man, it was a highly entertaining 2 press conferences. Definitely, you had Jack Catterall's manager, Sam Jones. You could tell that he's very, loved by many, but also hated by many, over in Great Britain. There was a lot of banter back and forth between Jack Catterall as well as Josh Taylor. This is a massive, massive crossroads bout. We know that they've been waiting at least 2 years to get this fight back on, going all the way back to February of 2022, when Josh Taylor ended up getting that decision over Jack Catterall. Now, on April 27th, they get an opportunity to do it again. We're at a critical juncture in the careers of both, Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. You got Josh Taylor, who we know just recently came off of a defeat, his very first defeat of his career against Teofimo Lopez at Madison Square Garden. And then over for Jack Catterall, he's kind of stayed busy, but he's kind of riding a winning streak. He defeated last year Jorge Linares. So, Jack Catterall is kind of on the upswing, so there's going to be a lot of questions in this bout as they're entering the ring literally a little over 2 years later from the first time they got in the ring with each other. I think a lot of people are going to wonder, is Josh Taylor really done? How much does he have left? And for Jack Catterall, he's kind of kept the wave going, and possibly did he get a little bit better. Now, I will say when it goes back to the first match, it was highly controversial. I personally had Josh Taylor winning it very, very narrowly. And the real reason why I had Josh Taylor narrowly beating Jack Catterall is only because I remain consistent in the fact that when you are facing off against a champion, it is a must that you take the 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds. You really, really have to have those championship rounds. If you're going up against a champion, you really cannot afford to lose those last 3 rounds and expect a decision, from the judges. And I feel like in that first bout, while Jack Catterall fought very well, and he fought a hard, tough, competitive fight, he deserved for the fight to be very narrow and dicey. Like, you couldn't have argued whether it would have been a draw, or you couldn't have argued if it would have went his way on the cards. But I will say in that 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds, I rewatched it a number of times, and every time I watch it, I don't have Jack Catterall, edging out those 3 rounds. So I kind of narrowly give it to Josh Taylor. So we have those 2 entering back into the ring on April 27th. It's sure to be, a raucous crowd. They're hyping it up, of course. It's Scotland versus England. Arch enemies going back at it. And, it's going to make for a very fun and entertaining environment. I mean, the way that they're promoting this fight, I'm almost surprised that it is not on pay-per-view, DAZN pay-per-view. It actually has been announced as a fight that is going to go for free, or I guess you can't say it's for free. You're paying a subscription to DAZN, but it's going to be a typical regular DAZN bout. It's not going to be, any extra added fee like we paid for, for instance, Ngannou versus Joshua. None of that. If you got a DAZN subscription, you will get to see the fight on April 27th. But nonetheless, man, they've been highly entertaining with the build-up. So I could only imagine if they really made everybody pay for this bout, it probably would do pretty solid numbers in Great Britain, because they've hyped it up quite a bit. Now, at the end of the day, man, it becomes very interesting to see where this will go for either of them once the fight is over. 140 pounds is a hot division. It's an absolute hot division. It boasts, the talents of a Devin the Dream Haney. It's got Ryan Garcia in the division, Regis Prograis, you got Gervonta Tank Davis, amongst other fighters who are on the come up. So for, a Jack Catterall or Josh Taylor, a win, on April 27th can put you in prime position, to have another major bout against one of these other big names, in the 140-pound division. Now, another intriguing thing I will say, with Josh Taylor, is one thing that's interesting about him is that he never seems to do a rematch clause for any of the bouts. Now, if you remember the February of 2022, when Jack Catterall, was very close on the cards and it was looking like he could potentially pull the upset, a lot of people don't realize that night, while Josh Taylor was the undisputed champ and had all of the straps at 140, there was no rematch clause, which is what really, made Jack Catterall and his camp, a little bit even, more upset than they typically would have been, is because there was no rematch clause. So if he had gotten the titles that night, he would have been able to just skate off, and that would have totally altered his career in ways that we couldn't have imagined. That would have been Jack Catterall potentially getting the Teofimo Lopez bout or a Devin Haney bout. You name it. That would have totally shifted both of their trajectories of their career had Jack Catterall been able to get the titles on that night with no rematch clause. Then, if you even think about it with Josh Taylor, when he doubled it up and then went and faced Teofimo Lopez, once again, there was no rematch clause. Teofimo Lopez knocked him off that night. There was no rematch clause. And so there will be no Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor 2, unless Teofimo Lopez at some point would like to give Josh Taylor another opportunity. So, one interesting thing about Josh Taylor, and his camp is that I noticed, unlike a lot of other fighters who are champions, he never writes in any clause where there's a rematch clause to where if he gets defeated, he gets a second crack at him. But nonetheless, man, at this point, Josh Taylor has lost the titles. Jack Catterall didn't get him that night. So now this is just a straight up old-fashioned bout based off of pure animosity, bad blood, and it's just going to be a highly entertaining bout for boxing fans come April 27th. But overall, man, let me know what y'all think in the comment section, and let me know if you think that Jack Catterall has the edge at this point, or if Josh Taylor still has a little bit in the tank, man. Let me know who you have coming out, on top in Leeds, England on the 27th. Please make sure you remember to like, share, subscribe. This will be JD at Bvtnews, and I'll continue to give y'all the latest and greatest news in the sport of boxing, man. Till next time, deuces.